All right, folks, welcome back to Talkin' Soccer. I am once again your host, Justin Horniker, and it is time to talk about the U.S. women's national team drawing the Netherlands 1-1 in a rematch of the 2019 World Cup final in a match that definitely lived up to expectations. Now, I have a lot of mixed feelings around this match, just like I have a lot of mixed feelings around a lot of Vlatko Andonovski coached U.S. women's national team performances, but let's go through the positives first, then we'll go to the negatives, and we'll finish this off. A little bit of a compliment sandwich, as we say. Of course, 1-1 draw. It was a tough comeback for the U.S. as they go down 1-0 early on and are able to, eventually find the equalizer off a Lindsey Horan corner, taken by Rose Lavelle, of course. And it's a game that left a lot of U.S. fans feeling frustrated. I know I felt frustrated watching it, and I felt especially frustrated listening to Vlatko Andonovski talk in his post-match comments. But again, we'll let's focus on the positives first. Hopefully, my mind doesn't go there. Defensively, the U.S. was staunch as always. This was another game where they allowed one or less goals. That is 11 in a row that they allowed at least or less than 2 goals, let's say. So 1 goal or less in 11 straight games. That's a more succinct way of putting that. And that's where sometimes I struggle with my criticisms of this club, because it isn't the same team, the same dynamic, score in bunches team that you maybe would have expected under Jill Ellis or, under a past regime. This is a team that is much more defensively staunch, is much more defensively solid, but sometimes that comes in the sacrifice of the ability to get forward, the ability to be more dynamic offensively. And you see that in this game. Now, the Netherlands are a very good team. Obviously, it's a rematch of the final 4 years ago, and it's still a very strong team, if they've dipped in form a little bit recently. And I think a lot of the US's apprehension in their press that you maybe don't expect for them usually comes from just how much they respect the Netherlands playmakers and how much they respect their skill on the ball. So the Netherlands score first off of a Danielle Roord goal that comes on the Netherlands' first opportunity to break the US's press. So this game starts off very encouraging for the US. They kind of pin the Netherlands in their zone. The press is active. The pressing triggers are active. Alex Morgan, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith are, the trident on front of that press, and Netherlands have trouble breaking through. But on their first attempt to really break through, there are some spaces in the formation that they exploit. There's a Crystal Dunn, she falls as she's trying to play a ball. The Dutch take advantage of that. Eventually, the ball finds its way to Danielle Roord, who is kind of at the top of the box and has a ton of space. And I think a lot of that is on Lindsey Horan. When you watch it back, Lindsey Horan kind of let her float into space to receive the ball. And by the time the U.S. defenders are charging her, she's able to have enough space to kind of curl it around the defense and pass to Alyssa Nair. And it's a really good shot. It's a really well-taken opportunity. It's a great finish. So it's hard to really be extremely negative when you get scored on like that. And ultimately, the Dutch don't have many chances. They have 5 shots all match. I think 3 on goal. They had no shots on goal in the second half at all. So defensively, this was kind of the one blemish in the record from this match. But after this goal, that's where you kind of notice the apprehension in the US's press. They didn't commit as hard as they could. I think you could hear a lot of yelling for players to get wide, for players to engage. I know Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith were kind of trying to float centrally a little bit more, which I think is just their kind of tendency as players, and probably a reason why they should maybe think about switching the formation up at some point in time, especially with Sophia Smith. I thought there were moments in this match where if you replaced Alex Morgan with, say, Lynn Williams and you move Sophia Smith centrally, I thought that could have been a more effective look. But maybe that's sacrilege with what Alex Morgan has done for this federation, for this country, the patriotic Alex Morgan. So they go into half. It's still 1-0 Netherlands. The U.S. are frustrated. They haven't really generated much. Much of the expected goals they generated come in the second half, where they finished the match over one expected goal to the Netherlands 0.48. So that kind of tells you how cagey this match was. It started to get a little bit physical. This was not a well-ref game at all. Ultimately, Rose Lavelle comes in at half for Savannah DeMello. Rose Lavelle was on a 45-minute restriction still. She's still working her way back to full fitness, so she doesn't start. But that is the lone sub that Vlatko Andonovski makes in this match. And that's where a lot of my criticism especially comes, because even if using your full roster of subs, using your game changers, doesn't impact this match particularly, they have a hard matchup coming up against Portugal that they need to get a result from, that you have pretty much a full group, outside of the DeMello Rose Lavelle substitution, that chased the game hard for 90 minutes. And even if the press wasn't necessarily active, they're still chasing the Netherlands through the midfield. They're chasing the Netherlands a lot, trying to kind of make it hard for them on the ball. I just don't understand if I can tell from the TV, because I'm not in Australia, even if I am on Australia time, if I can tell from the TV how gassed Alex Morgan looks, how tired Sophia Smith looked, how tired Trinity Rodman looked, I don't understand why you don't make at least one change in that front three, especially being the tip of the press. And Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith both had moments where and Trinity Rodman especially, I think she's a little more rangy in her pressing, both had moments where they had the Dutch goalkeeper, where they had a Dutch defender, really struggling to play the ball out, but the U.S. didn't win the second ball. And I think some of that does come from either a lack of want to press, being told not to press, or just fatigue and not being able to get to that ball at that point in time. Because you can see that this team has a lot of fight in it. Let's move on to the Lindsey Horan goal. So Lindsey Horan gets taken down by her teammate at OL, and there's a coming together. They have to be separated during the ensuing corner kick. Rose Lavelle lines up to take it. It's delivered. Beautifully weighted ball. Lindsey Horan rises above, forcefully heads it. It's a goal. It's 1-1. Lindsey Horan is, at that point, fueled by pre-wrap and pure rage to score this goal. And it's 1-1, and you feel like the U.S. has momentum after this goal, but they just couldn't convert into a second goal. And I think some of that does change if you do use your subs. If you say, bring in a Christy Mewis who can play that 6 role almost, if not more effectively than Andy Sullivan did in this match. Bring on Lynn Williams, even Alyssa Thompson for her raw speed that she has. I don't know. I just don't know why, if your strength is how deep your bench is, because the U.S. bench is probably the best bench in the world. I can say pretty confidently that's the best bench in the world. Why you don't use any of that in this match when that's often where you can kind of take advantage of teams. I just don't understand that thought process at all. And Vlatko Andonovski's comments after the match don't do anything to clear that up. He said that Meg Linehan reported that, he kind of said that he was apprehensive about inserting a player into this match because it would take them a minute or two to get up to speed. That's just fucking outrageous. And then after the match, he was talking about how they had a good rhythm, how, they're the better team, how they dominated, how they kept the Netherlands to 5 shots all match. But while, expected goals wise, I don't know if I would go as far as say they dominated, but they did control that game. But it was a 1-1 draw. It wasn't like they completely blew the Netherlands out of the water. And now you're going into a tough game against Portugal with a tired squad that is now, this 11 has played majority of the minutes in both matches. That's why you rotate your squad during the group stage of a World Cup. I don't feel like I should be seeing things that are so common sense that the head coach of the women's national team can't see. And that's what about Vlatko that I don't understand, because he has kind of regressed tactically in a way. And the only thing I can think of is that just the pressure of the three-peat and how historic a three-peat would be for the U.S., that pressure is making him second guess such a simple decision that is bringing on Lynn Williams to replace Sophia Smith, or bringing on Lynn Williams to, whatever. That's the only explanation here. Because while, Vlatko's tendencies have been there over the past year, his insistence on playing Andy Sullivan to the point where Julie Ertz has moved to the center back position, even though she was touted to be the savior of our midfield, and she probably should be. I don't know. That's where I want to leave this video. It's a draw. It's big points against the Netherlands in that rematch of the 2019 final. It's big points against the Netherlands, and they should ideally take home 3 points against Portugal, which has them winning the group. It's just not a very confident display, and especially after they dominated Vietnam and only produced 3 goals out of it. Only produced, but they had almost 6 expected goals in that match and only converted on 3 opportunities. So there are reasons to be concerned with this team, but I still, don't have too many doubts that they'll make it far in this tournament. It's just those fine points that you can kind of nitpick along the way with this U.S. team. Expectations are high, and we kind of said before the tournament, if Vlatko doesn't win or doesn't make the final, it's a failure. And I think that's a lot of pressure. And it seems like, that's the only explanation I can think of why certain decisions are being made. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this game, what you think about the decision to only use 1 sub down in the comments below. If this is your first time finding Talkin' Soccer, make sure you subscribe, turn on those post notifications. We're posting videos daily during the World Cup. And let me know what you thought. If you think I'm dead or wrong, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to fight you. Anyway, folks, we'll talk very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching.